Welcome in, yogis, and namaste. It's me, Avani, and it's my pleasure to guide you through a few very simple practices to help to nurture the yamas and niyamas in your yoga practice and your time on the mat. So we'll begin with a few breath practices to help and support a restorative pose a little bit later on. Let's begin in a comfortable seat. So you might want to grab a bolster if you have one at home, or a pillow, or a couple folded blankets can also be supportive. And come into a nice tall seat, lengthen your spine, and any gesture with your hands, any sort of mudra that feels appropriate and sacred to your practice. And as well, if it feels comfortable for you, you can allow the lids of your eyes to close down so you can begin to drop into your inner world. Draw your focus to your natural breath. And we'll begin to visualize 3 distinct landmarks on the journey of the breath in order to come into Dirgha Pranayama. So Dirgha, or the 3-part breath, which is going to be very cooling and soothing for the nervous system, or kind of nurture the parasympathetic nervous system. So this is a wonderful practice for coming into the Yama of ahimsa, or non-violence, to really start to soothe yourself from agitation. So as you breathe in, visualize yourself breathing in from the belly, and then continue to lift your breath up towards your ribs and then all the way up toward your collarbones. And as you breathe down, as you exhale, let your breath descend from those same landmarks from your collarbones down toward your ribs, and then way down deep into your belly. So there's no retention or hold. This is just a visualization as a way to expand the capacity of your breath. So again, Dirgha Pranayama. As you breathe in, lift from your belly as if you could breathe into your belly, then up towards your ribs, and then all the way to your collarbones. And as you exhale, let your exhale, the descending breath, slide down from your collarbones to your ribs, and then way down to your belly. We'll continue for a few rounds of breath, Dirgha Pranayama, the 3-part breath, before we layer on an additional practice. And as you're moving into your breath from belly to ribs to collarbones, and then right back down from your collarbones to your ribs to your belly, I'd like to also invoke or remind you of this, the 4th Dhamma, Brahmacharya, which, remember, the charya, the chariot leading back to Brahma, those practices that lead you back to source. So as you're moving into this simple breath practice, notice if you're giving too much, if you're forcing too much, if your breath is really kind of over the top, if you're overdoing it. It's allowed to be subtle and graceful and connected. Breathe up from your belly to your ribs, to your collarbones, descending your breath from your collarbones to your ribs, to your belly. So we can breathe in non-violence from a place of connectedness. We can breathe in alignment with Brahmacharya, a form of celibacy where we're not taking too much. We're leading ourselves back to source. One more round, belly up to ribs, up to collarbones, and then exhale down from your collarbones to your ribs, and then deep to your belly. Return back to a natural cycle of breath. And we'll layer on a second pranayama practice now. So Shitali, or Shitkari, requires a little bit of a trick, a genetic trick of the tongue. So we're going to make a roll Roll both sides of your tongue up, and if that is just not in your genetic repertoire or toolbox of tricks, then you can also open your mouth and expose your teeth like this. And and breathe in the same way. And so Shitali with the tongue rolled, or Shitkari without the tongue rolled and the teeth exposed, is the next pranayama. This is the cooling breath. Just like the Dirga pranayama, this is going to be a practice of ahimsa, of nonviolence, very soothing for the nervous system, even more soothing for the nervous system. And it's really going to cool you down. So let's begin. You'll inhale through the roll of your tongue. So for those that can roll the tongue, extend it, roll and inhale, so that the air passes over the surface of your tongue. Now, if you're doing this without a tongue roll, expose your teeth. Inhale over the surface of your teeth, over the surface of your tongue. And then both variations, exhale through your nose. Inhale, extend your rolled tongue, or through the surface of your teeth and over the surface of your tongue, and exhale both variations through your nose. So Shitali or Shitkari. Continue at your own pace, so your inhales move through your mouth, and your exhales glide out through your nose. Both pranayama practices, really any pranayama practices, are also really amazing efforts of the first niyama of shaucha, practices of cleanliness. So as you inhale through your mouth and you exhale through your nose, know that each breath that moves through you, you are cleansing your system. You are moving through the body's #1 detoxification practice through this focused breath. We're really moving through all of the niyamas here. So santosha, a practice that is slow and constant and content. Breathe in through your mouth and out through your nose. Notice anything that this may bring up for you and sit with all that is. There is no way of feeling that is wrong. This is the practice of santosha, of contentment, sitting with what is, not fighting against reality. It requires tapas, the third of the niyamas, discipline, the friction, to sit still, to focus, to train your awareness. You may notice your body feeling slightly uncomfortable, your mind, your emotions slightly uncomfortable. Take one more round. Inhale through your mouth across the surface of your tongue and exhale through your nose. Shitali pranayama. And as you finish that next exhale, return to a natural breath, and observe. This is the place in any practice, the space of observation, the fourth of the niyamas, svadhyaya, a place to self-study. Notice what has come up. Notice without judgment, place to study yourself. Do you feel calmer and cooler and soothed, or perhaps these pranayama practices have been agitating in some way, have really built friction? Just notice with a space for honesty. And then the fifth niyama, of course, the Ishvara Pranidhana, the surrender. So knowing that whatever may surface into your screen of awareness at this moment is exactly as it's intended to be, is exactly divine and perfect as it is. So now that we've cooled the nervous system, let's move through just one restorative yoga pose practice. It's It's recommended to perhaps have a pillow or a bolster, although you can certainly move into this pose without support as long as it's comfortable for your body. So here is where we're going to draw in the second of the yamas, satya. Make sure that you are being honest with yourself, that you're being truthful about the level of comfort in your body and what you really need at this moment in time. So bring your right leg to the front of your mat, and it might be somewhat parallel with the long edge of your mat. And you can draw your weight over towards your right hip and then swing your left leg back. So you want to land on your big toe edge and then bring your right foot somewhere toward the top of your left thigh. This is where you may find your bolster useful. You can take it off of your right hip, just off of your right hip, and then turn your upper body, frame your bolster or your pillow or your rolled blanket, and walk yourself down atop the bolster. You can rest onto your right ear. And again, if it feels safe for you, allow your eyes to close. We'll be landing here for a total of 4 minutes on either side. So remember, satya, really radical truthfulness in what your body needs, whether that be a prop or a shift of your physical position to find deeper comfort. And the third of the yama is asteya, not stealing, not taking that which is not yours, that which is not freely given. So that may mean a modification or a variation of this posture if this is not available to you today. Soften your breath. Continue to drop into that place of spadhyaya, that fourth of the niyamas, your home for self-study, self-observation, for peace, harmony, and quiet. Just a little over 2 minutes left on this first side. You can scan the length of your body and soften any place where you have mapped out resistance or holding on or holding back. This is a chance to practice a parigraha, the last of the yamas. Any sort of gripping or grasping. Where you're at right now is enough. This is enough. You can soften. Just over 1 minute to go. And as you perhaps do notice any patterns of resistance in your practice, also give yourself an offering of nonviolence, of gentleness and acceptance, a santosha and ahimsa, and be okay with all that arises. Allow yourself for a wholeness of your experience. Take 3 more full cycles of breath. Very gently start to press into the palms of your hand without any sort of hurry or rush or grasping or gripping. Press into your palms and lift yourself up toward a tall seat. And we'll reset for the second side. So this time you can bring your left shin around toward the front and bend into your right knee. Sneak onto the big toe edge of your right foot and guide your bolster, pillow, or blanket off of your left hip. So remember, your left foot might make contact with the top of your right thigh this time around. You can rest onto your right big toe edge. Be really honest, deep practice of satya. If you need more props, support, blankets, more cushion, anything that you may need. And then go ahead and swivel around once again. Frame your bolster or your pillow with both hands and start to walk yourself out for deer pose. Second side, you can come to rest down onto your left ear this time. Keep your gaze forward. And settle into a spot where you can be soft and settled and whole, non-violent and content, without grasping, without gripping. A place that is ripe for the practice of surrender. Slide into your breath. We're just about 1 minute in on this side. You can scan your system once again. And I would offer to find place to study your patterns of resistance, of holding back or holding on. And ask yourself where you might be able to get softer and more deeply present. I'm just about halfway through. Scan and soften. Observe and accept. Radical honesty. Greet yourself exactly where you are at this moment in this practice right now. Smooth your breath. See if you might be able to ensure it is really even between the inhale and the exhale. And then take 3 last cycles exactly as you are. No need to rush forward to transition. Really linger present with these last 3 delicious breaths here. And with your next inhale, again, begin to root down through the palms of your hands and press yourself up without force. You can allow your head to stay heavy as you rise. And slowly work yourself back towards seated at center. If it feels safe for you, you can remain with your eyes closed. And then again, I am Avani Gilbert. It has been my deepest honor and pleasure to join you all to explore the Yamas and Niyamas, these beautiful ethical practices and commitments to the practice of yoga. I hope you enjoyed this short practice. Please check out my resources for more or to send me over any of your questions and comments. Have a beautiful day ahead. Namaste.